first crack at this one. The police department is the most expensive city agency. Are you satisfied with the level of training and with the level of staffing at the police department?
Let me begin with the staffing issue. Since I came on to council in 2012, there was, I believe, 1 week during that time when we actually had a full complement of officers on the force. We regularly run between 10 to 20 officers beyond that complement, or short of that complement, I should say. And so the answer to that second part of the question is no, we are not adequately staffed. And indeed, when the last annexation of the portions were added to the city from the county, it was anticipated that we would need 10 additional officers. Due to budgetary constraints, due to the fact that we can't even fill the positions that we have available, we have not brought those 10 officers into the budgetary process yet, but that would certainly be the goal in terms of hitting those numbers. And by hitting those numbers, we have good response times for issues that occur throughout the city. We actually have a better police force. On the training issues, this is an area where there are many shortcomings, unfortunately, across the city, including the police force, and that's simply a reflection of funds. Of course, all of our police officers go through, as cadets, the training academy, so they get the fundamentals, but Santa Fe is a place where I certainly believe that community policing is the model that I would love to see, and that is certainly a matter of training on those types of issues, but it is also a question of trying to bring our police officers back into our community and have them living among us. So I'm an advocate for that as well.
Thank you. Mr. Meisner?
Well, I think two primary responsibilities of city government is to make sure that the government keeps you safe. The other is managing your tax dollars responsibly. Yes, the police department is the most expensive part of the city budget, but it is public safety. Now, the problems that have been plaguing our police department is, we have a frequent turnover. Average vacancies range anywhere from 20 to 25, and that's not including how many police officers are needed to cover the newly annexed areas in the southwest part of the city. So we need more officers, but there is trouble looming in that there's a new mayor in Albuquerque, and they have many more vacancies. And one of my first duties, if you elect me as mayor, is to make sure that we retain our officers and that they don't get lured away to Albuquerque. Many of them already live in Rio Rancho. That's not going to be too much of a commute, but we value their service. And so I'm going to work hard to make sure that we attract and retain really good officers. But we do need more training. A recent survey done by the previous police chief indicated that 85% of the officers surveyed want a higher salary. So obviously our salary is not high enough, and I asked one of the union representatives with the police department, I asked, how many officers have we actually lost to Albuquerque Police Department? 0. So there's other attractive aspects to being a police officer here in Santa Fe, and we've got a great benefit package, a great health fund, and we need to make sure we continue those services. And lastly, we just need to make sure that our officers are really fully engaged and vested in our values, Santa Fe values. Thank you.
Biggest attraction is we're not Albuquerque.
Oh, you are. So, training and staffing at the police department. We are facing a difficult moment with our police department. Some of it, as Councilor Myers mentioned, has to do with what's going on in Albuquerque, and we have to make sure we don't lose officers. We have a number of officers who are ready for retirement. We currently have 2 deputy chiefs. We need a really excellent chief who will address the issues of both training and staffing. Staffing, as Councillor Ives mentioned, has been tough for many, many years. We did fully staff up at one point in 2012. And training is something that we really need to focus on in order to create a true community-rooted police department. We need to make sure that there's a number of reasons these trends have occurred, which actually go back to 2001 and the terrorist attacks in New York and the creation of the Department of Homeland Security. And a lot of grant money. At one point, I was doing research and documenting the grant money throughout the city. All of the grant money at the police department was for these sort of militarized equipment. And so, you know, we come this many years later, 17 years since 2001, and we've sort of changed the culture of police departments across the country because we gave these tools, these militarized things, these tanks, and we have to change it back. We have to change our culture so that the cops know to seek neighborhood wisdom on the ground and really be a true community police department. And I think we can partner with the public schools to do some innovative programs to grow our own people to fill the civic jobs that are really critical, and top of the list are teachers and cops. We need to start plugging in our high school juniors and seniors to career paths for these good jobs. They do have great benefits, and we need to make sure we're training our own people to do these jobs.
Thank you. Mr. Weber?
Thank you. Quick story. About 3 weeks ago, I went on a ride-along with a police officer. We started at 8 o'clock in the morning. We rolled up into a park about 9 o'clock. There was a car there, all alone. The police officer knew exactly what was going on. He got out of the car. I stayed in the car. He approached the car and ended up making an arrest of 2 individuals who were doing meth in the park at 9 in the morning. It took him 30 minutes to make the arrest. It took him an hour and a half to go back and fill out the paperwork. So we are really not using our police resources as wisely or as efficiently as we could. I can also report that the officers involved were incredibly respectful, even as they made the arrest, and really quite showed that they understood that the people who were being arrested had rights and needed to be taken care of appropriately. That's the experience of being with a police officer. The facts that you're referring to are absolutely right, and my fellow candidates are all on the same page. For all of 2017, we've averaged 20 vacancies in the police department. We have 84 officers, and we've averaged 115 calls per officer per month. Response time for priority 1 and priority 2 calls have actually increased. So what we're seeing is a police force that is highly stressed, where they are under an enormous amount of demand to perform. They are in the public eye at all times, and they need support. Police officers are really keen and interested in the best equipment they can have, the best training they can have, and support from the administration and the governing body, and then comes money. If we want to keep our best police officers, we have to pay for them, but we also have to respect them and work with them and train them.
Thank you.
Years I've been on the council, that has been one of our biggest issues, is getting the full staff. As been mentioned, only once were we up to staff, and a week later, we were back down to 3 deficiencies. What we need to do is we need to find opportunities for our officers to live here. We've been talking about that for years. One of the ideas I've always had is, why can't the city purchase a house in each district, allow a police officer to live there for maybe a year, 2 years, at a lower rate for rent, allowing them to make some money so they can purchase a house here in San Fe. These are things, when we talk about collaboration, I'd love to collaborate with the schools. Back when I was in high school, we used to have police officers living on campuses. They lived in the parks, and these are things we need to do. We need to show our police officers that yes, we want you living here, and we want to find ways that you can live here. So these are initiatives that we definitely do, and these are initiatives that I'm going to do in my administration. As for training, nobody can get enough training. That is you know, gonna be top priority that our police officers get training, but that's all around the city. We need to ensure that all of our employees have the proper training. You know, it's not good when you see top officials taking trips all around the world, and then I talk to employees, gee, you know, there was a training, maybe it was in San Diego, that would have benefited me. These are the things that we need to look at the city. You know, where is our money being spent? Our money must be spent properly, and as I've mentioned many times, public safety, probably the most important issue that we can give to a community. We need to ensure that our police officers are well-trained, they have the proper equipment, and that they're, as mentioned by Alan, they're respected. And showing respect is finding them, you know, that they live here in the city that they serve.
Thank you. Excellent question.